If you retire at 62 with $300,000, there's a real chance your money runs out before you do. And most people don't realize it until it's too late. This is the story of two retirees who made one small decision and ended up in completely different lives. Meet Robert. Robert is 62 years old. He spent 35 years working in logistics management in Ohio. He's divorced, lives alone in a modest home that's fully paid off, and he has $300,000 sitting in a rollover IRA. No pension, some Social Security coming, but he decided not to claim it yet. He's tired, his knees hurt, his last job was stressful, and he's been counting down to this moment for 3 years. He retires in March. Feels incredible. He sleeps in. He visits his daughter in Colorado. He finally has time for things. Now meet Patricia. Patricia is also 62. She lives in North Carolina, recently widowed, and has $300,000 in a 401k she rolled over after her husband passed. She owns her home, too. No mortgage. She has some Social Security available, but also chose to wait. Patricia's scared. She doesn't feel ready. But her health has been declining slightly, nothing serious yet. And her financial advisor told her the money should last if she's careful. Both of them are standing at the same starting line with the same amount of money. The difference? What they decide to do next. Robert decides to spend like he earned it. In his first year, Robert withdraws $32,000. He figures that's reasonable. It's about $2,600 a month, enough to cover his basic bills, his groceries, his car insurance, and a few trips. He's not being reckless. He's being comfortable. Patricia, on the other hand, is nervous. She withdraws $22,000 in her first year, roughly $1,800 a month. She's cutting back, eating at home more, canceling subscriptions, watching every dollar. Both of them feel like they're doing the right thing. And for a while, they are. But this is where things quietly start to go wrong. Robert is living well. He takes a road trip through the Southwest. He buys a used fishing boat for $7,000. He visits his grandkids twice. Life is good. Patricia is living lean but comfortable. She picks up a part-time role at a local garden center, just 12 hours a week. It gives her a little extra cash and, honestly, something to do. She brings in about $8,000 extra that year. She doesn't touch as much of her savings. Now here's where the math starts to quietly turn against Robert. At first, nothing feels wrong. By year 3, his account has dropped to around $218,000. The market has been decent, so his investments recovered some ground. But he's still drawing down faster than the account can grow. At $32,000 a year in withdrawals, he's pulling out about 10 to 11% of his original balance every year. Financial experts typically suggest no more than 4% annually for a retirement that needs to last 25 to 30 years. Robert is drawing more than double that. He doesn't think about this, because the account still looks like it has a lot of money in it. Patricia, at the same point, has about $262,000. Her withdrawals are lower. Her part-time income is covering some expenses. And she claims Social Security at 63. Not the ideal age, but it brings in about $1,350 a month. That changes everything for her. That Social Security check becomes her floor. Her savings stop shrinking as fast. Robert is still waiting on Social Security. He heard that waiting until 67 or 70 gives you more money per month. And that's true. But what he didn't calculate is how much he'd spend between now and then. Then year 5 arrives. And this is where things shift. And this is where the plan starts to break. Robert has a health scare. Nothing fatal. A heart procedure. But it costs him. After insurance, he's out of pocket nearly $18,000 between the procedure, the follow-up care, and some medications he now takes monthly. In 1 year, he withdraws $51,000. His account drops to $162,000. He's 67 now. He finally claims Social Security, and he gets $1,780 a month because he waited. That's $21,360 a year. It helps. But his expenses haven't gone down. They've actually gone up, mostly from health care. Patricia, at 67, has $241,000 still in her account. Her Social Security brings in $1,350 a month. Her part-time work ended. Her knees couldn't handle it anymore. But she managed to live on less for 5 years, and it protected her savings. She draws $18,000 from her account to supplement her income, which now feels comfortable, but not lavish. Here's the twist that neither of them saw coming: inflation. And this is where most retirement plans begin to break. Between age 62 and 72, the cost of living increases meaningfully. Groceries, utilities, healthcare especially. What cost $2,600 a month in 2025 costs closer to $3,200 a month by 2035. That's a rough estimate, but it's realistic if inflation averages just 2 to 2.5% a year. Healthcare inflation tends to run higher. Robert feels this hard. His Social Security helps, but it's not indexed perfectly to his actual costs. His account is now around $94,000 at age 72. He's starting to feel something he didn't expect to feel in retirement: fear. He does the math one evening. If he keeps withdrawing at his current rate, his savings could run out somewhere between age 77 and 80. He's in decent health. His father lived to 88. His mother lived to 91. He might have 20 more years ahead of him, and his savings account might have 8. Patricia, at 72, has about $198,000 still sitting in her account. She's drawing less. Her lifestyle adjusted naturally over the years, not from sacrifice, but from habit. She never got used to spending freely, so inflation stings, but doesn't threaten her foundation. She's not rich, but she's not afraid. By age 78, the gap between these two lives is wide. Robert is managing, but he's had to make hard choices. He sold the fishing boat at a loss. He stopped traveling. He's relying heavily on Social Security and drawing down the last $40,000 of his savings very slowly, trying to stretch it. He worries about what happens if he needs assisted living. That can cost $4,000 to $8,000 a month in many U.S. states, and his savings won't cover a year of that. He's not in crisis, but he's not okay either. He's living in that uncomfortable space between getting by and being one unexpected bill away from real trouble. Patricia still has around $155,000. She's 78 and in reasonable health. She has enough cushion that if something went wrong, a hospitalization, a home repair, a family emergency, she could handle it without panic. She doesn't live lavishly, but she lives without that low-level dread that Robert carries every day now. So what happened here? They started with the same number, the same age, the same basic situation. The difference came down to a few decisions made in the first 5 years. Robert withdrew too much, too early. He didn't account for healthcare surprises. He delayed Social Security but kept spending as if that delay cost him nothing. And he never created a second income source, even a small one, that could have slowed the drawdown. Patricia spent less in the early years. She added even a small income stream. She claimed Social Security earlier than ideal. But it worked for her situation, and she never let her lifestyle creep up just because money felt available. Here's what most people get wrong about retiring at 62 with $300,000. They think the question is, can I afford to retire? But the real question is, how long does this money need to last? If you retire at 62 and live to 87, which is a realistic lifespan for someone in reasonable health today, that money needs to last 25 years. That means $300,000 invested reasonably well can only safely support about $12,000 a year before Social Security. That's $1,000 a month from savings alone. Most people are not planning around that number. They're planning around what feels comfortable now. And what feels comfortable at 62 often feels terrifying at 74. The single most protective move you can make, if you retire early with modest savings, is to keep your withdrawals small in the first few years. Delay Social Security as long as realistically possible, and if at all possible, maintain even a small income source in your early retirement years. Even $500 to $800 a month from part-time or freelance work changes the math dramatically over a decade. $300,000 can absolutely support a retirement, but only if you treat it like the foundation it is, not like a finish line. Robert thought he had crossed the finish line. Patricia knew she was still running a race, just a slower, quieter one. And 10 years later, the difference isn't just financial. It's the quality of the sleep they get at night. It's whether they answer the phone when they don't recognize the number, or let it go to voicemail because they're afraid it's a bill. Retirement should feel like freedom. Make sure your numbers actually support that feeling, not just on day 1, but on day 4,000.